Today, the Border Patrol has released 30,000 illegal immigrants into the United States. AOC has something to say about the border crisis. And Joe Biden has another trip and almost fall. We've got it all for you, and it starts right now. Welcome to the News and White Matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Jason Buttrell, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program. And also, wait, hold on. You're wearing a jacket?
I know, right? That's when you know it's business.
Yeah.
When this jacket comes on, which you've probably never seen me wear.
I don't
this
think I
specific
ever
jacket.
have. You've been on the show for years, and I've never seen you actually wear a jacket. So thank you, Jason.
You're
I don't
welcome.
know what the occasion is, but I appreciate it.
Well, I think this is my only jacket, so I was like, I better wear it every once in a while. You know?
You get it out of the closet and dust it off. Also joined by Jill Savage, her maiden voyage on the show. She is a former sports reporter. This is a little different. Little different.
It absolutely is. But as I've been saying, I'd rather talk about the Great Reset than breaking down game film at this point, because if there's not a country left, then what does it really matter?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you're kind of speaking our language here at the Blaze. We're all doom and gloom.
I'm here for it. I am here for it. My friends would say very in line.
All right, so let's get to the headlines of the day. So the Border Patrol has released approximately 30,000 illegal immigrants directly into the country just since January, as the facility is designed to hold the migrants' overflow amid, of course, the ongoing immigration crisis. We've talked about it multiple times on the show. We've seen the pictures that have come through of, I think now, last we talked about it was like 758% to capacity. Then after that, it was like 1,500% to capacity. So just a little over what the legal capacity is. And that is not taking into account all of the COVID protocols that they claimed that they were trying to take at the very beginning of this. I don't know if you guys remember, but I know Jen Psaki was like, well, we can't let reporters in because we're trying to maintain COVID conditions, and wouldn't you feel bad if you didn't abide by that? So we can't get these kids sick. Oh, wait, they are, a lot of them already sick, and we're just going to go ahead and release 30,000 of them into your population. So, of course, we've got the teen migrant boys at the Dallas Convention Center here in Dallas. We've got some teen girls over in San Diego at the San Diego Convention Center. And now they're just releasing them. Normally, illegal immigrants released into the public are given a notice to appear, which is a charging document issued by immigration enforcement authorities to commence deportation proceedings against an individual. But a report surfaced last week that, there's so many of them. They don't have time for all of that. They're actually just considering releasing illegal immigrants without providing a court date, is what the what the report said. So why do we even have laws at this point, Jason?
It's a good question. We don't really, because we don't really enforce them, so It doesn't even really matter. This is the non-crisis, that they keep telling us about. But just what you described, these overflow facilities and convention centers, all these other overflowing, facilities at the border. What does that sound like? It sounds like a natural disaster just struck. And literally, that's what they had. Like, we put people in Katrina, after Katrina, stuck them in the Saints, whatever that is.
The Superdome.
Superdome, thank you, the sports girl.
I'm here for you. I'm here for
you. Yes. Save the day.
I might have lost a man card right there. That's pretty bad. No, this is absolutely a crisis. I was talking to a guy that he works for the Center for Immigration Studies. He was down at the border. His name's Todd Bensman, really good guy. He's writing a lot of good stuff right now. But he was talking about how supposedly the border is closed, but they are so overloaded that when I think it's from 18 to 20-year-old males, or basically males that arrive that are alone, that are above 18. Usually they're sent back, but now they just don't have the time or the capacity to deal with them. So what they're doing is they're dealing with all the unaccompanied minors and the families coming in. So when those guys come up, who aren't, again, the border is closed, they're saying, whatever, they're taking their fingerprints, biometrical data, they're giving them these forms, sometimes with an order to appear, sometimes not. And then they're just going off. Now you also have NGOs, and it's the same people that usually provide money to them, George Soros, people like that, that are funding them, and they're providing chartered buses that they round them all up right there, and they just take them wherever the heck they want to go. Now, from there, they get involved with the asylum system, where they apply for asylum. Now, you're looking at 2 to 3 years before there's anything that might be resolved on that.
And by the way, that's just to apply for asylum. That's not like we know that it's a legit case for asylum, because most of these are not.
Most of these are not. Most of these are for economic reasons.
Right.
It does not have anything to do with whatever the left is saying that it has to do with. Look, all of this, and I know I'm filibustering here, I'm sorry, girls. I'm gonna end this off, but all of this, I have maybe some different opinions on this than some of the viewers. I'm all for legal immigration. I think most conservatives are.
Yes.
Legal immigration is awesome. That's who we are. It's illegal immigration that we have an issue with. And the policies that Joe Biden is doing right now is just basically saying, look, we're all for the illegal immigration. You want to come over illegally? We're not going to do anything to you. Eventually, you'll become a citizen. That's not the way it works, especially not with the largest welfare system in the world. We are. We're the largest welfare state in the world, and they want to make it worse.
Yep.
But
it's not sustainable.
They want to make it that way so that they can get all the voters that they need. The ultimate goal right now is to turn Texas blue, right? They did it with California, so you see the border being overrun. Arizona's already a purple state. I lived there for 5 years, and they have just as many problems. But I think when you see Texas, they're bringing them to Dallas for a reason. They're trying to make this a center point and get those kids here, get them into the system, make them citizens, and get that voting block going. But also, when you look at the border and the crisis on the border, they're overwhelming the system at every level. In Yuma, they had a car that came in through a checkpoint, but it had $60,000 worth of fentanyl inside burritos. It was in the back. You know, they didn't think the canine would spot it if they put it inside burritos. But they did.
There's so many jokes I could make
you know
there.
that's
almost
happening.
Sounds like a Taco Bell addiction, actually.
Fourth meal, let's go. But you see that that's caught. There are so many cases out there where it's not going to be caught, and they're going to be pushing the boundaries, the borders, because they know this is their window of opportunity to get in, and maybe you're not going to get caught at the border when you're doing illegal things.
The drugs is a great point, and a lot of people are saying that they're so, like we were talking about, they're so overwhelmed at certain locations. Yeah. All these people, the Border Patrol is going through all their paperwork. Drug cartels, who are also facilitating the people up, are waiting for that buildup, and they're hitting other parts of the border while the Border Patrol are dealing with them. I mean, there are so many different ramifications, and we haven't even gotten to terrorism across the border, which that is happening as well. In Canada, which you were at not too long ago, it was just like 3-4 years ago, there was a terrorist that drove a truck, I think, through a bunch of people. Yeah. The way he got there was from a terror route starting in Somalia, went through Brazil, South America, up through our porous border, got into Canada going up that direction. That's how that happened. But then the left will not talk about this, even though we have verifiable proof that's what's going on. It's just, it's absolutely a crisis.
And again, yes, it's a crisis, but also it doesn't have anything to do with not being compassionate.
Exactly.
I mean, you guys are bringing up these issues that, gosh, when you're talking about caring for especially American citizens and people's lives at stake here, drugs and terrorism, kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And affects a lot of lives.
On the compassion level, they criticize the last administration for separating families. Even though that happened going back since Bill Clinton.
Yes.
They never wanted to talk about it. Even when Barack Obama was the deporter-in-chief, they never talked about it. Suddenly they talked about it here. Suddenly they want to talk about it now. But what Joe Biden's policies are doing right now is they're not separating the families here on this side of the border. He's effectively separating them on the other side of the border.
Right.
Because the way he set it up, they're saying, hey, go ahead, to their kids, go across the border. We'll hopefully meet up with you later. The separation is still happening just on the other side.
Which, by the way, is the more compassionate thing, to separate them, to vet all of these people. You don't want children going with people who you don't know if they belong to. But at least Donald Trump, under President Trump, he was trying to send the message, don't come here because you will not be accepted, which I think is much more compassionate than saying, well, I mean, we'll accept your children, so send them on the dangerous journey, please.
Exactly. And when you look at the Coyotes, when they were separating families on the Mexican side of the border, there was a 6-month-old that was just dumped in the Rio Grande. And they were like, oh, okay, well, so what? Because it's not their child. They were paid money, but they already had the money. You have to look at this as a compassionate person and say, okay, how is it going to be the best case that we can deal with these people coming in, right? They're coming in. Glenn went down, gave the kids soccer balls and blankets and got a lot of crap for that back in the day. compassion. We're those people. We want to be those people. So what's the best way to address this? And we'll figure that out, but let's do it in a humane way.
Yeah. So we're talking about all of this. There are 3 new polls that have just come out that seem to indicate that Americans actually disapprove of how President Biden is handling. God, I still can't get used to saying that. President Biden is handling the crisis that is going on the border. In some cases, the president's approval is below 50% on illegal immigration. Of course, the administration is trying to downplay the issue, but Morning Consult Politico poll, 49% of voters disapprove of Biden's handling of immigration issues, 40% approve, and Morning Consult noted that there is the change is coming. So it's just interesting because when you look at this and you think about leading up to the election, I just wonder what these people thought were going to happen. What did they think was going to be the end result of electing a Biden-Harris ticket?
Well, they believed, as they always do. I don't want to say they group people together like that, but if you basically
you people, that's what he meant.
If you believe anything a Democrat tells you, then you believe that they're the compassionate ones, they're the moral ones, and we're everything opposite. Mostly because the left has been so well in winning this cultural war, but everything's just it's a bunch of crap. One quick example, and we've talked about it before, but the right for gay people to get married. Well, our stance should have been the government has no issue in that whatsoever.
Right.
Done deal. We win. But no, they made it an ideological thing. They made it like a religious thing when they didn't even have to enter into that. It was so stupid. But yeah, they definitely believe Democrats when they said, well, we're going to be moral on this, even though they've lied to them, administration after administration. Again, Obama, deporter in chief. Yeah. He built the damn cages, for crying out loud. Now, this is absolutely a big deal. These poll numbers are absolutely a big deal. Because I don't think that Donald Trump probably wouldn't have been voted president without this.
Let me just bring up one more. 34% of Americans approve in this National Public Radio poll. 34% of Americans approve of Biden's handling of immigration. 53% disapprove. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I think you look at those numbers and you say a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? The media was not covering this story for a long time. They gave Biden a little bit of leniency, and now the photos from those detention centers are coming out. And Americans, again, when you see that, you can't look away. You can't look at this and say, we're in a pandemic, COVID's a problem, you have all of these kids grouped together, the percentages of kids that it's overwhelming these facilities. You can't look at that and say, oh, everything's fine, right? With Trump, nobody was really coming in at the levels that they are now, but now you have Biden. It's free range. Go ahead, come in. Everybody's saying, we're coming in because Biden is the president. And when Americans are forced to look at the images, it's something completely different for them.
And it's great to see the media actually cover it, which is what I don't mean to toot my own horn here, but I will on my show. I said would happen now that their goal, obviously, their shared goal was to get Donald Trump out of office. Once that happened, they're going to be clamoring amongst themselves for who is going to make the biggest name for themselves, because as we know, most of them are just complete and total narcissists, Jim Acosta, and they're in it for themselves, and they are going to want to be the ones to have the story now that their arch nemesis is gone.
Right. And from the left, I'm keep looking at this from like the leftist ideologues and everything that brought us Donald Trump. Leftist ideologues, they obviously want open borders. They want to leverage everything for what they want. The establishment does not want that. The Joe Bidens, he don't want that. The Nancy Pelosi's, Chuck Schumer's, all them, they're happy in what we call the swamp there in D.C. They love the status quo the way it is. Now, if they can use the leftist ideologues like they did in the campaign, they're going to do that. If they can utilize AOC's little Instagram army or whatever, they'll happily let them in. But what happens when you prove that you're just the same as every other administration going forward, or that was, in the past? That's what they're doing right now. They promised all these immigrants they were going to do something different, they were going to be compassionate. They promised America, but in reality, they don't give a crap. Yeah. They don't give a crap about these immigrants. They don't give a crap if they're drowning in the Rio Grande.
Right.
You say that this is what Joe Biden wants, but do we know that this is what Joe Biden wants.
I don't
We
know.
know that
He
he knows
doesn't
that
know.
this is what
Joe
he
Biden
wants.
doesn't know what he wants. Poor Joe. We've got more on him and AOC here after the break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Omega XL. So if you are one of many Americans, you just live in pain, you probably don't know it, but the underlying cause is usually inflammation. So you have to actually defeat the inflammation in your body. Otherwise, it can cause permanent damage. Now, Omega XL, it is backed by 35 years of clinical research, and it will actually attack the inflammation in your body that is causing your pain. So if you're thinking, you know what, I'm just going to grab some icy hot or whatever, topical rub and rub it on my shoulder, and it feels really awesome for 10 minutes, and then it feels like crap again. Don't do that. Omega XL neutralizes that inflammation that is causing your painful stiff joints and muscles. It is an essential fatty acid combination from the waters of New Zealand, so it is natural. And let me tell you something, it works. Pat Gray was on the show not that long ago, and he was talking about he had this weird elbow pain. He was having trouble even lifting like a simple coffee cup. He took Omega XL. They told him it might not kick in for a couple weeks. After 1 week, he felt totally normal again and wonderful. So if, again, it can be life-changing if you know what it's like to live in constant pain every day. Try Omega XL, all right? Order Omega XL right now. Get a second bottle for free at omegaxl.com/news. That is omegaxl.com/news. Get your second bottle for free at omegaxl.com/news. Back in a minute. All right, so I promised you an AOC clip. Well, AOC had something to say on her, I guess this was her Instagram Live, on the border surge. Yes, I said surge because I am a huge white supremacist, in case you haven't noticed, my last name being Gonzalez, because AOC herself says that you don't use the word surge unless you are a white supremacist, because that is a word rooted in white supremacy, and a bunch of other, strings of words that go together but don't really fit, because it's just that hamster wheel going around up inside her head. Watch.
They want to say, what about the surge? Well, first of all, just gut check, stop. Anyone who's using the term surge around you consciously is trying to invoke a militaristic frame. And that's a problem, because this is not a surge. These are children, and they are not insurgents.
Oh, never thought about it that way.
Invaded. Which, by the way, is a white supremacist idea, philosophy. The idea that if an other is coming in the population, that this is like an invasion of who we are.
So first of all, okay, surge, obviously you don't say that when you mean the definition of the word surge. Okay, Jason?
I've got a friend named Serge. Now I feel guilty from calling him that. That's like.
Well, why don't you ask him why his parents were such white supremacists?
I think his last name might be Gonzalez as well. I don't think he's very white supremacy.
I can't. How did this woman get elected?
I will say there is a God, because AOC waited until I came on the show to go ahead and lay this all out. She has been so quiet on the border. We've all been waiting for an AOC video, and she gave it to us. And it is better than we all thought it would be. If you're saying that surge is also the root word of insurgency, I'm going to let the military guy handle that in a minute. But you look at this, and she just starts stringing buzzwords together. She's like, I know I don't have anything here. I can't say their kids in cages anymore. Biden's in office. So what can I go with? We're going to go back to white supremacy. That's what we're going to do. Now, when you look at AOC, I think this is the total problem of you have participation trophies. You have never been told no in your life. This is the root sum of what you get. So we get a lot of this going forward with critical race theory. It's only going to get worse with the kids learning all this in school. So you just look at that and you're like, oh, there are so many people out there that listen to her, that think she's correct.
Yeah, that's what's scary.
It's scary.
That's what's scary. And, I will say, interestingly enough, you could have the opportunity to talk about these concentration camps, because that's what you called them a couple years ago. But instead, you're talking about, meanings of words and why they're racist.
There was so much here that she would, back in the Trump administration, that she would just go absolutely wild on. Like when the journalists got access to the facility in Donna, Texas, what was that, just like yesterday or a couple days ago? They said that they'd been there for over 15 days. The limit is 72 hours.
Yeah.
Imagine if that would have happened under Trump. She would have been back there crying
She
over
called
the
them
parking lot.
concentration camps before any of the, it was not this bad, and they were already concentration camps to her.
Yeah, remember the making that crap up about drinking out of toilets and
Yes,
stuff like that? I mean, the
yes.
lunacy just kept going. It was absolutely insane.
She cried in a parking lot.
I'm sure their sanitation habits are much better now that they're so overcrowded.
Right.
Don't worry.
Right?
It's
Well,
better.
there's something about those foil blankets that they get that's just really sanitary.
Yeah, that fixes everything.
You just wipe it, and it's antimicrobial. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all packed closer together. You know, when you put them all together like sardines like that, it's just a lot more sanitary that way.
Yeah, that's how all the recent studies have shown
all the
that.
science.
Yeah. Okay, before we go to the White House defending migrant kids in-person learning, there was a recent video of Joe Biden. I just would like to revisit Joe Biden walking up Air Force One. He does look a little bit different, seems to be taking it a lot more seriously here. He is going so slow. You remember when he tripped and fell, because it wasn't just the one time. Careful there, Joe. Careful there. He was practically running up the stairs before. Now he's decided that he was going to. Now he doesn't. He look so
tripping.
He looks so accomplished. He's like, "Hey, I made it, Mom." But you still tripped, Joe.
Mr. Magoo is like, hey, look at me. I got my bag. I got my umbrella. They can't say anything about me this time.
Mr. Magoo.
If you're the Secret Service, take the bag from him. Even if he doesn't want you to,
Right.
take the bag from him. If he's going to hold the umbrella and not the handrail, at least give him one hand.
Yeah.
That if he does stumble, you have something to brace your fall.
You
Come
do
on.
wonder how the people around him. Is he just really mean in the background in secrecy? Because no one seems to give a crap, including his own wife.
Well, they're almost in an impossible situation because they know that he can't make it up those stairs.
Right.
They see him every day. They know how in decline he is. But if they make a deal out of it, if they do anything different, right, then of course everyone's going to talk about it.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about it anyway because he can't make it up the damn stairs. Right. I think that they're going to have to put, like one of those, when you see those commercials, of the chair that slides up the stairs like that.
Yeah.
The person sits in it and it just kind of goes up. Either that or an escalator. I don't know, something like that.
We'll have to get started on the technology there. All right, before we go to break, let's hit White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, who we've discussed. Actually, I think it was yesterday we talked about the migrant children in San Diego who are actually receiving in-person learning from the teachers of San Diego before the children of San Diego who, actually live there and their parents pay taxes before they were able to receive in-person instruction. But Jen Psaki says, look, they're on spring break right now, okay? They're returning at the beginning of April. Nothing to see here. Watch.
The San Diego County Supervisor, Jim Desmond, he says, I think it's great that there's in-person learning for unaccompanied minors from Central America, but I wish every child in San Diego County was allowed the same opportunity for in-person teaching. So I guess the question is, does the White House think that this sends the right message to these 130,000 kids in San Diego and their parents who've been stuck at home for the last year?
Well, I'm just saying that context is important, and these kids are going back to school for hybrid learning. We, of course, want that to be 5 days a week, and we're confident we'll get there early next month. And I believe they're also on spring break right now. So these teachers would be, I'm not sure if it's volunteer or paid, you'd have to ask the local school district, while the kids are on spring break, which I think the context is pretty important.
Context is very important. So here's some context for you, Jen. The COVID rates for the migrant children that the teachers are teaching are actually higher than the children of San Diego. So 82 cases out of about 700 is 9%. So they have a 9% COVID rate compared to the 0.0018 rate percent of San Diego residents. So it's just the 437 times higher than the case rate in this city.
The whole thing is ridiculous, but I never really listened to that entire clip until just now. And when she said that, she goes, "Oh, I don't know if they're volunteer or if they're paid." I almost said something else. Bull crap. You of course know exactly who's teaching them, because who controls the Democratic Party and the Biden administration? Unions.
Teachers unions.
Teachers unions are the ones that are telling the Biden administration what they will or will not do, especially in California. Teachers unions are not going to let this happen. This is volunteers, almost guaranteed. I don't know for a fact, but almost guaranteed. They take the orders from the unions and then they pretty much do whatever. It's always science for them, unless the teacher unions tell us otherwise.
Yeah, how would you feel if you were a parent in San Diego right now?
I'm a parent in San Diego, I'm saying give me my property taxes back or teach my children. One or the other. We are paying you to do a job. And she's saying, oh, they're on spring break right now. Like,
did they need a spring break?
Right. This whole year has been a spring break. If you take outside the, the mental health problems that they had, the suicide problems that they have right now, because kids can't congregate and get back to their normal lives. But when it all comes down to it, like, they're paying for a service that they are not being provided. And how is this going to manifest down the road, right? I have a 6-year-old nephew who's trying to learn how to read right now. My sister's like, can you just teach the child how to read? We'll get past everything else, just teach them how to read and we'll be okay.
Yeah. And they always, I think it was San Diego that they make the teachers unions and the school boards, they make these comments about, they see us as babysitters and all this. It's like, no. But also, don't forget, our taxes are paying your salaries. I think that's something that the teachers just kind of forget.
But they often project, right? It was Nancy Pelosi, it was the AstroTurf with the Tea Party, and it can't be real. They say what they think.
Oh, for sure.
And they just put it on us instead.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor of this segment, Built Bar. So I just saw a tweet from someone who had just got their Built Bar order in. I think they got peanut butter brownie, double chocolate, and I can't remember the other one, but you guys are tagging me in your pictures. You're like, just got my Built Bar order in. Thanks a lot, Sarah, for making me spend a bunch of money, because I keep buying them because they taste so delicious. So for those of you who have not yet gotten your Built Bar, they taste like a candy bar. They're made from 100% real chocolate, and they have all of the good qualities of a protein bar. They're low in calories, they're low in carbs, they're high in protein, they're high in fiber. And I am telling you, if you made a New Year's resolution way back in January, I know it's almost April, but if you made that New Year's resolution and you haven't quite gotten yourself to that point, or if you're working from home and you're like, I'm in the pantry all day and I'm snacking on stuff I really should not be snacking on because I have a sweet tooth, get Built Bar instead, all right? Join many of our viewers who have done this and they love it. You got to go to BuiltBar.com. Use promo code NEWS15. You'll get 15% off of your next order. It is NEWS15 at BUILT bar.com. That is BuiltBar.com. Facebook, our good friend Facebook, good buddy Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, they removed a video of an interview with former President Trump that was conducted by, of course, his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. So weird, you guys. We're living in the most insane time. They said that they were going to remove anything that any content that was in the voice of Donald Trump. That is a quote. In the voice of Donald Trump. Any content like that would be scrubbed from the social media platform. So you cannot interview the man. Apparently, it doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter what the content actually is. He could be wishing everyone happy Easter. He could be, whatever the case, any content, in the voice of Donald Trump will be scrubbed from there. Laura, she posted an Instagram post it's a screenshot. For those of you who are listening on audio podcast, it's a screenshot of the email that she was sent from Facebook. It says, we're reaching out to let you know that we removed content from Laura Trump's Facebook page that featured President Trump speaking. In line with the block we placed on Donald Trump's Facebook and Instagram accounts, further content posted in the voice of Donald Trump will be removed and result in additional limitations on the accounts. So it's not enough that the man himself was banned. You can't even, can you share a picture with him? Like, if I were to meet him on the street, could I post it on Instagram? Probably not, because I'm sure that they would say that it was, inciting an insurrection. Just his face, I guess.
But he's only the former leader of the free world.
Yeah,
So
well,
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay if you want that. If they can do that to him, they can do that to anyone. And again, where does the line stop, right? 75 million people voted for Donald Trump. You have the Biden administration out there right now trying to get rid of the YouTube dislikes because there are so many that are popping up
they're
on
affecting him.
So hilarious.
on his feeds, which I think is hilarious. You're telling me that this man, Joe Biden, got more votes than anyone in the history of American culture,
Yeah, they just fortified it.
and he can't just handle a couple dislikes on YouTube, but yet anything that Donald Trump says, anything that Donald Trump does, if you post a picture, anything, no, we can't have that. Go away.
This is
You will be
absolutely
silenced.
wild. It's absolutely insane. I mean, this is a man that did not do anything illegal. He's not being charged with anything, even though you could probably be a serial killer and put content up on YouTube. Probably could do it. I mean, I'm sure you could, and they wouldn't do anything about it. He has not been convicted of a crime. There's no justification for this whatsoever. Bernie Sanders even said, I think it was last week, that this was troubling that he was still banned on some of these accounts. Bernie Sanders, for crying out loud. They see the writing on the wall here. And just like you said, if you can come for him, just follow it all the way down to conclusion. It's going to hit everybody. It really is. The power that these companies have is absolutely insane.
Okay, so I don't disagree with you, obviously, but what were the Republicans doing? Because for all that Donald Trump fought with them, I mean, they held the power to do something. I know Donald Trump at the end of it all, he tried to go through with an executive order to remove their protections, but they had all this time to do something and they didn't do anything.
That's because Republicans only want to be Republicans when it's going to be an election.
Yeah.
Then when they go off to D.C.,
True.
they forget, oh, I'm sorry. You guys wanted all those
you wanted
rules?
me to
no,
be conservative.
I can't do that right now. We're busy over here doing all this other stuff, but go ahead and vote for me again in November when I need you. We have, maybe 6 or 7 good Republicans right now that are consistently good Republicans on all the issues, and everybody else is just going off and playing in the D.C. sandbox.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating.
It's a good point you're making, and it's a good point that you point out. I think that is the reason why you got Donald Trump to begin with.
Yeah.
The GOP establishment did not want Trump as their candidate. Once it was, they begrudgingly came over. Right now, they want him to go away, guaranteed. They want someone like a Ron DeSantis, which I would actually be perfectly fine with. They want someone like Ron DeSantis. It's more mainstream. But keep this crap up. Keep it up. Keep promising to do stuff on the border when nothing happens. That's how you got Trump last time. Keep promising to do something about what's going on with the censorship and cancel culture and everything. And when nothing happens, you're going to get Donald Trump again.
And
it's going to
I don't like it that they censor him, that they took, all of his platforms away, but it's actually the best thing that ever happened to him. If he wasn't allowed to tweet a long time ago, it would have been so much better for him and his reputation, for the general public. They wouldn't have had the orange man bad, just every single day, some new flames on the fire.
That's a good point. And what also happens what happened to the New York Post story about Hunter Biden? Yeah. They censored that. It blew the hell up. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was downloading it. Everyone was going to the Post. I would love to see their traffic numbers during that time. When you censor something or somebody, you do the exact opposite of what you
The Dr. Seuss books were, everybody was trying to get a hold of those on Amazon.
That's what's happened with Trump right now. Everyone now, he's still got this rock star image, and he can't even say anything.
And by the way, he is. It's just he's basically tweeting in press, statements instead. So he'll just issue a press release, and it's 3 lines, and you're like, this is just a Trump tweet on paper, and they just emailed it out to everyone for them to talk about. It's the same damn thing.
It's like if Joe Biden could have a press conference and everyone's like, okay, we know what's going to be said. We know the media's going to throw softball questions. Trump literally will release 3 lines. And everyone's like, oh my God, what did he say?
Did you guys see what he said about Anthony Fauci and Dr. Birx the other day?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to have to pull it over break and read you some of it. It's amazing. So he's still, because you imagine if you're Donald Trump, you're like, I have to get this out somewhere, right? I'm used to tweeting all of my innermost thoughts. It was just a stream of consciousness that he's just tweeting, and he's like, I gotta get it out somewhere, so I'm just gonna write it on my press release, stick my stamp on there, and just shoot it out to all of the press corps, I guess.
If it's anything like the Mitch McConnell press release that he put out, I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. When he's like, he's dull, sullen, unhappy politician.
I love how we all have our favorites. I have my.
That is my favorite.
Mine is the one to the Screen Actors Guild. He's like, yeah, so I want you to. Who cares? It's like in all caps.
I resign. You can't cancel me.
That was classic.
My favorite is very legal and very cool. Remember that one? I have a shirt actually that says that. All right, I'm gonna dig that out, and we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. It's so funny. I can't believe you didn't see this, Jason.
No.
Okay, this is a statement from Donald J. Trump, March 29th, 2021. It goes on, but let me just give you some snippets. He's talking about Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx. He said, in a fake interview last night on CNN, Dr. Fauci, who said he was an athlete in college but couldn't throw a baseball even close to home plate, it was a roller, tried to take credit for the vaccine.
It's a roller.
When in fact he said it would take 3 to 5 years and probably longer to have it approved. I was the one to get it done, and even the fake news media knows and reports this. But it just he had to get personal, right? He says he was an athlete in college, but he threw a roller. What an idiot.
A roller.
I love it. It's so great. You're like, that he did this. People were like, sir, do you want us to proofread this and, kind of clean it up? He's like, no.
Nope, it's good.
Get it out. Send it.
That's what I meant to say.
All right. So Greta Thunberg, how dare you, now has her own statue at the University of Winchester. This is in South England. Everyone's been clamoring for it, right, Jason?
Yeah.
Finally, a life-size bronze statue in her honor. They unveiled and erected the statue because, of course, of her commitment to, climate change and all of that.
Did they add the talking points emails that they were proven to be sending her? Is
I
that
hope
also
so.
on the statue? Because I hope it made it like in a little corner somewhere.
Yeah, I hope it is. So it costs in American money the equivalent of $33,000. So that's really great. If you're a student
statue
there,
would go for more actually.
Yeah. Well, I
33?
don't know. 33,000.
Jeez.
Well, it's life size, and she's very small.
Right.
So they didn't need to use as much bronze, I guess. But I just really. Greta Thunberg.
The university kids are mad that their funds are going to waste.
Yeah.
You're giving your money to a university, and you're getting mad that your money is being put to bad use.
Right.
Come on.
Guys,
wake up.
You
wake
should
up.
have known when you wrote the check. They're going to spend it on their little pet projects, and Greta is obviously item number 1 on their project list.
She's it, Jason.
For all the kids watching this or listening, you too can get rewarded for not going to school, doing nothing, and reading, like you said, prepared lines from your father and people at the UN.
And not just not going to school and going to a bunch of adult meetings and basically yelling at the adults of how to handle their own issues.
And just having a terrible outlook on life, right? Like you're saying that it's never going to get any better and this is it in dire circumstance. We're here at the Blaze. We get it, guys. But this is a little different, right? When you can't see any optimism or any hope and you're just yelling at people all the time.
And you hear about all of the disorders that she has and you're like, I bet she does. Because if that's what she's being fed all the time, 24/7, I would probably have some anxiety issues as well.
It really is sad, and that's the left gets praised. They praise themselves, they pat each other on the back, but they use children just like this to be be a symbol or to, be whatever, just stand out there to try to make their point for them. They do it for we talked about in on Glenn's show, Black Lives Matter curriculum, actively teaching kids to be activists. What the hell are you doing over there?
Yeah.
I mean.
Okay, so speaking of schools, let me bring up one more. We've got a couple minutes left. A conservative student group at UNT, so this is in our neck of the woods, University of North Texas, received threats after they placed 250 Easter eggs around the campus filled with Bible verses. So there were some tweets about this. Here's one. Imagine walking around campus and you find an Easter egg only for it to have a Bible verse in it. I'd be so pissed. I'm like, Do you guys remember what Easter is about? Do you know like the actual reason for Easter? Because it's not just to stuff your faces with candy, yeah, idiots.
Yeah, can you go back to that? Look what her name was. Angel.
Oh,
What?
wow.
You're clearly
Jeez.
confused here.
Your parents may need to rethink that one, Angel.
Yikes.
All right.
Imagine complaining about that and then finding out what your name really means.
Yeah, time to stomp some eggs, says another one. And by the way, someone said, all right, guys, whoever finds and throws the most away wins a prize. They even went so far as to message the Young Conservatives chairwoman and tell her to kill herself. So that's also going on in your schools. That's great. You guys are paying for your kids to go there and...
Do they know what Easter celebrates?
That's what I'm like.
No,
are
it's
you
a
guys
bunny.
confused?
It's the
bunny. That's all
Right.
about the
You're
bunny.
confused on what Easter's about. Are you really that like horrified to see a Bible verse in a freaking Easter egg?
All right, I'm new to Texas, but I'm a little concerned that it's happening here. I would expect this in New York, Vermont, somewhere up there. But in Texas, come on, kids.
The colleges
we're
are
North
overrun.
Texas.
Yep.
The colleges are completely infested.
It's the colleges, man.
Yep.
Is there any hope? Let's see. We've got, Texas is in Austin, University of Texas, so they're gone.
That's LA. That's little LA.
Yeah, they're gone. Texas Tech, maybe, because they're in Lubbock.
Isolated.
Yeah.
Out in the desert.
Stay away.
We've got those West Texas vibes. I can't. Are there any that are safe anymore? Jason's done a lot of research into, critical race theory and all these curriculums that are being taught to kids, and you surprisingly found a lot more of them than we would have liked to hear that are happening even in Texas, as far as just regular schooling goes, K through 12,
including charter and private schools.
Right.
So really, homeschool at this point is the only surefire way you have to make sure your kids do not get indoctrinated. And you know what that reminds me?
Yes.
We were just looking at some more schools out in California. Oh, this is the entire Department of Education in California. They just approved that Christianity, and this is how they're going to teach it to kids, that Christianity was the colonial oppressor religion, and we should be focusing more on the Aztec religion, to the point where they actually do like prayers and chants to the Aztec gods.
No.
So you can basically pray and do a ceremony to an Aztec god, but you can't pray to the God.
And you can't hide Easter eggs with Bible verses in them, or you
That's
get
obvious.
death threats,
Yeah, it's
obviously. Golly.
It's an upside down world.
What is the answer, Jill?
That's a great question. When you look at this, it's just, there has to be a truth and it has to matter, right? When we look at all of these different things, the 57 different genders, and you just go out and everything is so distorted. Everywhere you look, there is no truth. The truth is my truth, whatever I say it is.
Relative, it's not really true.
It's not the way.
Yeah.
We have to get back to what is right and what is wrong, and you have to tell AOC no a couple of times. And your kids are growing up, it's okay to say no. It's okay to discipline them and get back on that straight and narrow path.
Yeah.
Can I add?
Yeah, please.
What do we do? Local.
I was
Go
just about to say
local.
that. Yep.
For sure.
You need to know who is on your school board.
Yes.
You need to know who. People ignore those elections and they want to talk about the election when it comes to Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. Guys, pay attention, because these people are infiltrating at the local level.
State and national is pretty much lost.
Yeah.
You got to go local.
Yeah. All right. We've got to take a break. Back in a minute. Don't forget to go wherever you find your audio podcasts. Search for The News and Why It Matters, and subscribe, rate, and review. That way more people can find the show and really digest the news, and also why it matters. Also, if you write something nice, we might read it live on air. We've got one today from Sunrise Dreamer. 5 stars. I love that you have a variety of guests, which changes up the dialogue and is always entertaining. There's a good mixture of opinion and facts of the issues. I've learned so many new tidbits of information from you and your guests' personal experiences. The one topic that has blown my mind is the details of the kids' journey crossing the border, how the cartels get their money, the wristbands, and the sex trafficking. Thank you for bringing the real deal every day. This is what we're talking about when we say this is the news you are not going to hear from the mainstream media. The mainstream media does not like to talk about the uncomfortable truths when it comes to what is happening at the border and why it is such a crisis. And I think that we just covered, just today, we talked about look, when we're talking about compassion, it's not a cut and dry case where, oh, compassion means you just let everyone in. No, there's more to it than that. Jill pointed out the drugs. Jason pointed out something too. I don't know.
A few things, it's not important.
He sometimes says stuff, but I don't really
I'm just
listen.
the comedic relief. Back you guys
You're the
up.
pretty face.
Yeah, that's right.
So make sure you guys get your reviews in. Also, don't forget to follow Jill on social media. Thanks for being here, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks to you too, I guess.
Yeah.